Good morning. We'll just give it a few minutes for people to come in from the waiting room. It's lovely. I'm seeing some faces I know well, some voices I know, so lovely to see you. Great to see all these faces pop on. Really lovely. So while we just wait another minute or two. So I am sitting in New Hampshire, where I have, anywhere between 12 and 18 inches of snow in the forecast this afternoon and for Monday. You may have snow or sleet or other weather drama where you are, in which case do stay safe. Cold is a bit of a challenge here. That's actually the bigger challenge than the snow, actually, for my chickens. I have cold chickens, but they're still laying eggs. So like I said, just kind of waiting a moment or two and kind of enjoying seeing all of you as we kind of let folks kind of keep popping in. Football game later on for some of us. Woo-hoo. All right, well, why don't we get started, if you haven't already. So I'm Suzanne, and like I said, I see a lot of familiar faces here, which is just delightful. So welcome back. So typically, we often start with an aspirational prayer of some type, or perhaps an invocation. I thought for our getting started, for this time we have together today, let's really arrive in this space of community, of Sangha. So take your seat. I just love letting the weight just drop into my cushion. Let's take a moment and let's let ourselves be held in community and to hold each other in community. I know some of you, or a little bit at least. I know there are some really deep practitioners here who bring a lot of just beautiful energy into the Sangha and help us hold this space. So why don't you take a moment and let yourself be held, if that's what is calling for you in the moment, to just be held in community in this practice space. Feel free to flip the screen if you would like to kind of see the entirety of the community that is here with us today. Let's just hold each other and be held by each other. Because that is one of the gifts, really, of this coming together. And isn't that holding each other just a beautiful aspiration? Holding each other. Being held by each other. Breathing in each other. Seeing each other. And as Lama would say, I think that deserves a bell because I can feel your intention and open-heartedness. So there's a bell. And I'm going to bow to the Buddha in your seat. So your aspiration can take many flavors and forms, whether it's some of the practices out of our common prayer book or your own way of kind of opening up to your own inspiration and aspiration before you practice. So take ownership of your aspiration. So within our Dzogchen tradition, we talk from time to time about sort of the two components of our spiritual path, and two I use gently here. We have the swooping down from above the view, and we kind of have the climbing up from above with various relative practices. And so in the swooping down from the view, which many of you know, we're kind of remembering and experiencing that deepest truth of who and what we are, right? That Buddha within. You know, the recognition of our true nature. Loving, aware, free. You know, that ground of our being. So, the view. Kind of coming at it from that way. That absolute truth. And then we have kind of that climbing up from above, from below. Because I don't know about you, but I suspect for most of you, you're a bit like me in that while you may have many moments where you can rest in the view and you are present and open-hearted and right there, and the truth of who you are and what you are, it's right there. But then sometimes it's not. Sometimes those habits of mind or that reactive mind kind of snatches us away from presence. And so we have this collection of relative practices to kind of help us set conditions. To be in the view more often, to be really present, truly present, to be more integrated in how we move through the world in that open-hearted, present, wise space that we touch upon, sometimes very frequently. But I at least slide out of it from time to time. Get distracted. get caught up in some reactive moment. And that's okay. But that's why we have this collection, really, of other practices that we can do to help support our being present, our other practices, our cutting through and our seeing through, which we'll do. So I just want to kind of put that shout out there, and we'll do a little bit of relative practice, if you will, first. And then we'll take that right into our just sitting, just being practice that's so luscious. But I think it's really important that we don't think of those other practices, particularly the ones that open our heart or help us calm and stabilize, as second best. They can be really useful. And if they are useful for you, don't dismiss them. Weave them in. And sometimes that practice is more of a physical practice. It may be a yoga practice or a Tai Chi practice. So don't discount those other pieces that can help support our integration of the view, of our beingness. Use every tool you've got, right? Yeah. So with that, take the first part of our time together. And if you'd like to, this is always an invitation because it's your practice in this moment. Spend some time breathing into the heart chakra, right into the center of the body. Because sometimes what happens is we'll have experiences. Maybe we see something on the news, we get some bad news about a family member or a friend who's got cancer. There's something that arises that we could find difficult, painful. And maybe we don't have time to kind of really be in the moment with that. Or maybe we're angry about something, but we know we gotta kind of figure out how not to be unskillful in the space that we're in, right? And so it gets a little stuck and we don't have full awareness in the body. And yet it lingers and it will have its impacts, right? So, your invitation. I'll ring the bell. And we're going to breathe, if you'd like, into the heart area. Just kind of see what's there. So not trying to change anything. So it is an awareness practice, very simple. But just using that breath, kind of see what's there. Okay. More bells. All right, find your comfortable seat. Find your toes, find your fingertips. Arrive in your body. And then invitation. Just let your attention center on the heart, right in the center of the body. It can be helpful to kind of use the in-breath as just kind of shining that light of non-judgmental awareness. Exhale, letting go and noticing. Again, nothing to change, nothing to judge. Just checking in on the condition of the heart. Maybe it feels quite joyous and expansive. Or maybe it feels a bit heavy. No wrong answer, just your experience. Be kindly with it. Maybe you just notice some tension in the upper back. An invitation. If it's useful for you, you can always take that nice deep breath, but then really concentrate in opening the rib cage, the chest area, and then letting go. And look again. And maybe it changes as you look into the heart. Just the most gentle, loving awareness into the heart area, using the breath if that's useful to do so. Some loving kindness, tenderness, whatever's arising in your experience. I know for me, sometimes I just don't make enough time for the sorrows and the sadnesses of the world to kind of move through, to see it, breathe it. Yeah. Just taking a few moments to kind of really put some gentle attention there. See if anything just needs a little more space to be fully aware of it. And then we can just roll right into our awareness practice, right? Yeah, that's all. Oh, warm up. So we don't accidentally do a little spiritual bypass there. I've got a nice little poem I think takes us nicely from kind of checking in with the heart into our regular practice of being there, of awake awareness. So feel free to stretch or take your drink of water or anything you need to take care of you. And I'll read this little poem to take us into our next and our regular practice. Yeah. And this is called Late Prayer by Jane Hirschfield. Tenderness does not choose its own uses. It goes out to everything equally, circling rabbit and hawk. Look in the iron bucket, a single nail, a single ruby, all the heavens and hells. They rattle in the heart and make one sound. So with that, let's move into our, if you haven't already, into our regular practice. Yeah. Feel here, I'm sure you can hear my breathing, just sitting in this space. Yeah. Using the breath. I love the simple instructions. Yeah. Are just sitting, arriving in the body as this vehicle we have to awaken, to be awake. And this just breathing, invitation, take those 3 deep breaths if you'd like. Opening up the chest again, open up the belly. Enjoying that exhale. Relaxation. And that just being right here, right now, with all of you, making me smile. Just being open. Just resting in that not doing. we're not doing with each other. Yeah, just like at the beginning. Here we are in community, holding and being held in presence. That's simple. Don't work. Invitation, come back to the body, just sitting as often as you need to. Relying on the breath when that's helpful to do so. These are your helpmates. Don't work too hard and you're just being. Relax, have a sense of humor. Oh, am I getting bored? Oh, snow started. There we go. See? All good. Coming back. Non-judgment. awake, aware. Noticing the thoughts, but trying not to complicate them. Give them a bit of a smile. It's okay. Make your adjustments. Make sure you're not working too hard. Maybe not work at all. Sometimes it feels like every cell of my body is presence, is beingness. Never mind all those little microbes and bacteria in my gut. This amazing, miraculous, sometimes very painful form is our vehicle for presence. So let it be. Breathe it. Be it. So, invitation. Kind of sit back a little bit, present, but really not working, right? Because we can be present as we're moving, as we're connecting with each other. And let's go back to where we started again. Be present with all of us right here, right now. Permission, click the little button. Even if you don't see the faces, you see the names. Some of you I know each other. You've been on retreat together or hang out in other virtual rooms. Let yourself be held. By the community. Be part of holding the community with your presence. You showed up for you, for this community. Hint, hint, for all beings, you've showed up. Yeah. Sit with that for a bit. How sweet. So whether you're fairly new or an old hand, you are held and you are holding all beings. Yeah. Relax in that, rejoice in that. So I'm rather partial to Shantideva. So I'm just going to read as our kind of dedication, as our kind of closing prayer in this formal, non-formal practice. My 4 favorite lines, which I think really wrap this up. And I'll leave a little space after each line rather than pull it up on the screen, so that if you want to kind of repeat it in your heart, there's space for you to repeat it, right? 4 lines. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain. Until then, may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. It just needs a few more bells. So, got a few extra pieces to share and offer up in the last 8 minutes. If someone has some burning question or comment, I'm happy to take it, but I did want to kind of circle back for a moment and just kind of go back to that, we have this lovely practice of presencing, but then we also, many of us have these practices of calming and opening the heart. As some of you know, because you've been here for a while, I've often spoke of the Medabhavna, which is kind of a more formal 5-stage practice for developing loving kindness. I think Eddie's led a version of that. I don't know. I think I saw his name pop in there somewhere. And I grew up in that practice, among others. And sometimes those practices just really can help us break down some habits of mind and heart that make it harder, right, for us to fully embody the view, to be present. So if those other tools are effective for you, because I know many of you are experienced and come from other traditions, rejoice in them and use them as that supportive piece, right? Our body practices to really be present. Like I said, use every tool in the toolbox, And it was interesting because I kind of decided on this topic for today over a week ago or so. And then I subscribed to Deep Transformations, which is Lama Rogers' podcast, where he interviews various, often spiritual teachers and other really deep thinkers. And so this week they dropped an episode, and I'll just put this on, and it was episode 218, and it's Welcoming the Absolute. What happens when reality lives through you? And it's actually a really, even if you haven't listened to the other episodes where they've interviewed Ali Hamid, I don't think you necessarily need that for those of you who've been around for a bit to kind of get that piece that they're talking about, which is how do we really embody as we move through the world in all our various guises and forms, right? That view, right? That being present, that being the Buddha within. Yeah. And they talk a little bit about how we have those habits, of mind, and they come back, and how to work with that conditioning. And they kind of tease out a little bit that piece. And also if you have some, significant trauma in your life, find a good mental health professional. There's just so much great support out there. And one should never overlook the help of professionals. If there's something that is particularly, challenging and particularly difficult in your history and your processes. So I always thought that was always a good reminder that we don't have to do it alone, and we don't just have to do it in this meditation context, that for some some of us, or at some points of our time, it can be really helpful to work with a good mental health professional, particularly if we've got some trauma of significance or some real challenges of the heart. And there's nothing to be have shame about that or hesitation about that, other than sometimes it can be hard to fund that kind of help, which is a shame on our system that we don't do that. There's also, in the same Deep Transformations, a couple episodes back, there's a lovely conversation with Jack Kornfield, which was quite delightful. For those of us who spent some time reading Jack Kornfield's books and kind of listening to a number of his Dharma talks. So there's some interesting pieces on there which I recommend to you. So those are kind of my offerings for our Sunday. Yeah. So really lovely to practice with all of you, and I love seeing your faces. I think you can tell, right? So thank you for the comments in the chat. You know, there's some kind of heavy stuff out there, which is why I wanted to start with the heart. Yeah, because I think sometimes we forget to give that enough space and awareness. You know, it's very easy sometimes to do that spiritual bypass thing. And sometimes we need to feel the heaviness in our heart and be with it in a space that, you know, allows it to be really seen and acknowledged and held kindly, and then just take that into our awareness practice and then see through it and be through it. Yeah, and like I said, there are a lot of, you know, find your path and use every tool you can in the toolbox. So, yeah, really lovely. Yeah. Yeah, I saw a brief comment before it popped off my screen that's struggling with the news. I think, you know, there is a lot of, there's a lot, right? There is a lot for some of us who are, you know, yeah. And I think it's really important that we acknowledge the pain, the fears, the tenderness, and we hold that, and we find our ways to be in that space without pushing it away, but without also complicating it. And you know, when you make space for that, then sometimes you also find the creative ways to engage, right? Because that's the beauty of these practices. We're not reactive. It then offers up the opportunity to be creative. Where can my service be in this moment? And it just helps us be in that better space and stay peaceful in heart if we do have that opportunity, right? To be in those very challenging spaces. Yeah, and I did see there was something popped up. Someone is in Minneapolis, and my heart goes out to the whole community. The whole community. Yeah. I think it's also Holocaust Remembrance Day maybe this week, you know, so I wanted to start in the heart, right? Because there's a lot. Yeah. But we can hold it tenderly. And still be at peace and still be joyful while we honor what needs to be done in the world, right? Yeah. So I feel very grateful that I got to see all of you today. Yes, or see your names for those of you who are off camera, because I did see your names, right? Okay. Love to you all. Take care of each other.